Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at some really cool stuff from Anthropic. And to help me break it down, I've got someone with me who knows this stuff inside and out. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following AI for sure.
Absolutely. So the big news is Anthropic just dropped a new version of their Claude AI, Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And it's not just like some little update, it's a pretty big deal. It comes with this feature that's in beta right now called computer use. Basically, it means that Claude can now actually interact with your computer desktop.
It really is a big step, For a long time, AI development has been focused on these closed environments
Hmm.
where, the AI operates within a specific set of rules and parameters. But what Anthropic is doing here is kind of pushing beyond that, allowing Claude to work within the same, digital space that we're all using every single day.
So no more separate AI worlds. It's all like merging together.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to admit, my brain is already buzzing with the possibilities here. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it down a little bit. How does this computer use thing actually work?
Well, at its core, it's all about giving Claude a goal and then the tools to achieve it. You can think of it like this. Let's say you want Claude to schedule an appointment in your calendar. You give it that instruction, and then Claude breaks it down into all the steps, like opening the calendar app, going to the right date, putting in the
Okay,
details.
so far so good. It's like giving Claude a to-do list. But how does it actually interact with the computer itself? Like, does it have little robot hands that are typing away?
Not quite. It actually uses screenshots of your desktop to analyze the environment. It can identify different things on the screen, like buttons, text boxes, icons, and it even figures out where they are on the screen, like their coordinates. Using that information, Claude can then send commands to move the cursor click type, all through this thing called the Anthropic API, which is basically like a communication channel
Hmm.
between Claude and your computer.
Wow, so it's like Claude is seeing the screen and understanding what everything means. That's pretty amazing. But it also makes me think, doesn't that open up some security risks? Like if Claude can control my computer, couldn't someone hijack it through Claude?
Yeah, it's a valid concern, especially because it is still in beta. And Anthropic does mention some potential vulnerabilities, particularly something called prompt injection attacks. Basically, imagine a web page with malicious text or images that are designed to override Claude's instructions. That could potentially lead to some unwanted actions.
Okay, that definitely sounds a little scary. What's being done to address those risks?
Well, Anthropic is really emphasizing responsible use. They recommend things like limiting Claude's internet access, just to trusted domains, being careful about what data you give it access to, and even running it in a more secure environment like a virtual machine.
So basically, common sense security practices, but applied to AI. Makes sense. But let's get back to the exciting stuff. What kind of real-world applications are we actually talking about here?
This is where things get really interesting. One big area with huge potential is automation. Think about all the repetitive tasks that you do on your computer every day, like data entry, scheduling, even research. UiPath, which is one of the leading robotic process automation companies, they're already integrating Claude 3.5 Sonnet into their products. They're trying to streamline all those kinds of tasks.
So it's not just a cool tech demo, it's actually being put to work. What else are people thinking about with this technology?
Well, the bigger picture is that it could change how we interact with computers. Like, imagine a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into our digital lives. It anticipates our needs and helps us in ways that we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, now we're venturing into sci-fi territory. But it does make you wonder if Claude can already do all this. What's next? Where does this technology go from here?
That's the big question, isn't it? And that's what we're going to be talking about next.
I can't wait. We'll be right back to explore the potential impact and implications of Claude 3.5 Sonnet's computer use. Stay tuned.
So, we've talked about how this computer use thing works and some potential applications, but I think it's important to consider the bigger impact, especially as this technology keeps evolving.
Right, because with any powerful new tool, there are always questions about how it'll be used
Huh.
and what the, unintended consequences could be.
Exactly. One of the big questions that comes up with any kind of automation is the impact on jobs. Like, if AI can handle tasks that humans currently do, what happens to those workers?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And I think it's something we need to be talking about now, before it becomes a crisis.
Absolutely. It's not necessarily about AI taking jobs. It's more about a shift in the types of skills that we'll need. As AI starts to take over more of the routine tasks, it frees up humans to focus on things that require creativity, you know, critical thinking, emotional intelligence.
So it's about adapting and evolving along with AI. learning to work with it as like a partner rather than seeing it as a threat.
Exactly. And this is where education and training are going to be so important. We need to be equipping people with the skills that they'll need to thrive in a world where AI is more and more integrated into the workplace.
It's like instead of being afraid of the rise of the machines, we need to be figuring out how we can partner with them.
Exactly. And this collaboration goes beyond just the workplace. Think about how AI could personalize education, making learning more engaging and effective, or how it could revolutionize healthcare, helping doctors with diagnoses and treatment plans.
Wow, when you put it that way, it sounds like the possibilities really are endless. But I also wonder, are there any downsides that we haven't thought about yet? I mean, AI is evolving so quickly, it's hard to know where things are headed.
That's true, and that's why ongoing research and responsible development are crucial. One area that we need to be careful about is what we call emergent properties in AI systems.
Okay, emergent properties. What exactly does that mean?
Basically, these are abilities or behaviors that pop up as the AI learns, as it interacts with its environment. Things that weren't specifically programmed in. Like the AI is developing new skills or insights all on its own.
That sounds both fascinating and kind of unsettling. I mean, could AI potentially develop abilities that we didn't expect? Maybe even abilities that could be harmful?
It's definitely a possibility. And that's why monitoring and research are so important. We need to understand how these emergent properties happen and what they might mean, both the good and the bad.
So it's about finding a balance, right? Embracing the potential of AI while also being aware of the risks and taking steps to prevent those risks.
Exactly. It's a team effort. It involves developers, policymakers, researchers, and even the general public.
Uh-huh.
We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI and making sure that it's used ethically and responsibly.
I love that. It's not just about the technology. It's about the choices we make as a society and how we use it.
Right. And those choices start with understanding the technology, its potential, and its limitations.
So what does all this mean for like the average person, someone who maybe isn't a tech expert, but who's going to be affected by these changes no matter what?
I think the main takeaway is that AI isn't some far-off concept anymore. It's here, it's changing rapidly, and it's already starting to impact our world. We need to be informed, engaged, and proactive in shaping this future. We can't just sit back and wait. We need to be part of the conversation, ask questions, and make sure our voices are heard.
I love that. Knowledge is power, and it's up to all of us to use that power to guide AI in a positive direction.
Absolutely. And that brings up an important question. What is Anthropic's vision for AI? Where do they see all of this going?
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. What are they saying about their long-term goals?
Well, Anthropic sees computer use as just the beginning. They believe that eventually AI will become a natural part of our digital lives, handling tasks, providing insights, even collaborating with us on projects. They see a future where AI can help us tackle complex problems,
Yeah.
unlock creative possibilities, and make our lives easier and more fulfilling.
It sounds pretty optimistic. But I also have to wonder, is there anything in their vision that hints at potential issues we haven't talked about yet? I mean, anticipating problems early on is super important for responsible AI, right?
You're absolutely right. And while Anthropic's vision is mostly positive, they do recognize that we need to carefully consider the ethical implications as AI gets more powerful and becomes more a part of our lives.
Can you give us some examples of the ethical concerns they're talking about?
Well, one key area they focus on is ensuring that AI systems are aligned with human values. This means making sure that AI decision-making processes are transparent, accountable, and fair.
That makes sense. Transparency and accountability are essential if we want to trust these systems, especially as they start doing more complicated things that affect us.
Exactly. Anthropic also highlights the importance of avoiding bias in AI systems, making sure that they don't just perpetuate or even amplify existing biases in our society.
That's really important, especially when you think about how AI could influence things like hiring, lending, even the criminal justice system.
Absolutely. And it's not just about technical fixes, it's about building a culture of responsible AI development,
Mm.
one that prioritizes ethical considerations along with technological progress.
So it's not just about building smarter AI, but also about building better AI that aligns with our values and helps create a more just and equitable world.
Exactly. And that's a goal that requires ongoing dialogue, collaboration, and critical thinking from everyone involved in developing and using AI.
Well said. As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm struck by how we're on the verge of a transformative era, one where AI is poised to change our world in profound ways.
I agree. It's a time of both incredible opportunity and significant responsibility.
And it's a conversation that will continue in our final segment. Stay with us as we delve into some final thoughts. and leave you with some key takeaways to consider as we navigate this exciting and ever-changing landscape of AI. Welcome back to the deep dive. As we wrap up our look at Claude 3.5 Sonnet and this whole computer use thing, I'm still thinking about all the possibilities and what it could mean. You know what stands out to you as the most significant thing here.
I think what's really interesting is how Anthropic is changing the whole game of AI development. For the longest time, we've thought about AI as something that exists in its own separate space, like a digital world. But now with computer use, AI is coming into our world, using the same tools and interfaces that we use every day. It feels like we're moving towards this future where the line between what humans do and what AI does is getting blurrier.
Yeah, it feels like a huge leap forward.
Yeah.
It's almost like science fiction is becoming real. And it makes me wonder if Claude can already do all this with computers. What's next? I mean, could this go beyond desktops and laptops?
Oh, absolutely. If AI can understand and use a computer interface, then it's not a big jump to think about it interacting with other kinds of interfaces too, like
Yeah.
robots, smart homes, maybe even self-driving cars.
Okay, whoa. Now my mind is officially blown. But, with all this excitement, we also have to remember that this is powerful technology.
Yeah.
And with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. What are some things we should be thinking about as AI becomes more a part of our lives?
I think it all boils down to recognizing that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. The future of AI is not set in stone. It's up to us as individuals and as a society to decide what that future looks like.
So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about the choices we make and how we use it. We need to be having these conversations now, thinking about the ethics of it all,
Yeah.
and making sure we're using AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Exactly. We need to be asking the tough questions. Like, how do we make sure AI is developed and used ethically? How do we prevent bias and discrimination in AI systems? How do we deal with the potential impact on jobs and the economy? These aren't easy questions, but they're the ones we need to be talking about.
I couldn't agree more. It's about being proactive and shaping the future of AI instead of just waiting to see what happens. Well, Kian, thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights. It's been a really fascinating conversation.
It's been my pleasure. It's always fun to talk about these new technologies and what they could mean for us.
And everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Claude 3.5 Sonnet and computer use. We hope this has given you some things to think about as we all move into this new world of AI. Till next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.